The crash of Air India flight AI-171 on June 12, 2025, marked a dark day in aviation history. What began as a routine journey quickly turned into a catastrophe that would haunt the nation for years to come. The world watched in shock as news of the disaster spread, and the magnitude of the tragedy became painfully clear. It was the deadliest air disaster in India since 1996, claiming 241 lives on board and many more on the ground. The sheer scale of the loss left families shattered and communities reeling, as emergency responders worked tirelessly through the chaos and devastation. The Boeing 787 Dreamliner, once a symbol of safety and technological advancement, now stood at the center of urgent questions about technology and oversight. How could such a modern aircraft meet such a fate? Investigators and the public alike demanded answers, searching for the cause behind the unimaginable. This tragedy shattered public trust in air travel, especially as it unfolded in broad daylight over a bustling city. The images of smoke rising above Ahmedabad, broadcast live across the globe, left an indelible mark on the collective memory of a nation. The loss was deeply personal for Ahmedabad, where the crash struck a vibrant community and a college campus. Students, teachers, and families were suddenly thrust into mourning, their lives forever changed by the events of that day. The story of AI-171 is ultimately about people, passengers with dreams, families awaiting reunions, and a lone survivor whose life was forever altered. Each person on board had a story, a future, and loved ones waiting for them. As we examine what happened, we must remember the human cost and the need for answers. The pain of loss is etched into every tribute, every candle, and every photograph left at the memorial. The lessons from this disaster will shape the future of aviation safety. Investigators are determined to uncover the truth so that no family has to endure such heartbreak again. Honoring those lost means relentlessly seeking the truth, supporting the grieving, and ensuring their memories inspire change. Only by learning from this tragedy, and by strengthening our commitment to safety, can we hope to prevent such a devastating event from ever happening again. On June 12, 2025, Air India flight AI-171 was scheduled to connect Ahmedabad to London, a journey that promised new beginnings for many. On board were 230 passengers and 12 crew members, each with their own stories, dreams, and destinations. The mood at the airport was a mix of excitement and routine as families bid farewell and travelers settled in for the long flight ahead. The Boeing 787 lifted off at 1:33 p.m., its engines roaring to life as it soared into the sky. But just 5 minutes after takeoff, the routine flight turned into a nightmare. A frantic mayday call echoed from the cockpit, the pilots' voices filled with urgency and fear. It was the last official communication from the flight, leaving air traffic controllers and ground staff in a state of alarm. The plane never climbed above 625 feet. Instead, it began a rapid, uncontrolled descent, veering off its intended path as alarms blared in the cockpit. Eyewitnesses on the ground saw the aircraft flying dangerously low, its landing gear down and flaps up, an unusual and ominous configuration that signaled something was terribly wrong. Moments later, the plane crashed into a densely populated residential area, erupting in a massive fireball that could be seen for miles. The impact destroyed several buildings and ignited a fierce blaze, making rescue efforts nearly impossible in the first critical minutes. The crash site, located near BJ Medical College, quickly became a scene of devastation and chaos, with emergency crews racing against time. In a matter of minutes, the hopes and futures of 242 people were extinguished, leaving behind only memories and heartbreak. The world watched in shock and disbelief as the tragedy unfolded, with news of the disaster spreading rapidly across the globe. The loss would soon be felt far beyond Ahmedabad, touching families, friends, and communities across continents, as the world mourned the lives lost in a flight that never truly began. Amid the devastation, one survivor emerged, Vishwash Kumar Ramesh, a British national of Indian origin. Rescuers found him still strapped to his seat, thrown clear of the main wreckage. He suffered severe injuries but was declared out of immediate danger. From his hospital bed, Ramesh described the terror, a violent shudder, a steep descent, panic in the cabin, and the ground rushing up. His instinct to escape likely saved him from the post-crash fire. As the sole survivor, he carries the burden of memory and the responsibility to share what happened inside the cabin. His testimony will be crucial for investigators. The contrast between his survival and the loss of all others is stark and heartbreaking. Ramesh's story is a reminder that behind every statistic are real lives and stories. His voice ensures the tragedy of AI-171 will not be forgotten. The passenger list of AI-171 reflected a tapestry of lives. Indian nationals, British citizens, Portuguese, and a Canadian, all united by fate. Among the victims was Vijay Rupani, former Chief Minister of Gujarat, whose loss resonated nationwide. Families, students, professionals. Each seat held a unique story. Each loss rippled through countless lives. The crew of 12, dedicated to passenger safety, perished alongside those they served. The arrivals hall in London, meant for joyful reunions, became a place of grief. The tragedy personalized the headlines, reminding us that every number is a life. The cockpit voice recorder may yet reveal the crew's final heroic efforts. The true toll is measured in shattered families and dreams. The devastation unleashed by the crash reached far beyond the confines of the aircraft itself, striking at the very heart of a densely populated Ahmedabad neighborhood. In an instant, what was once a bustling, vibrant community was transformed into a scene of chaos and heartbreak, as families and residents faced unimaginable loss. The BJ Medical College campus, a place dedicated to healing and hope, was not spared. The impact was catastrophic, flattening buildings and shattering the sense of safety that students and staff once felt within its walls. A massive fire, fueled by the jet's fuel, erupted almost instantly. The main fuselage crashed directly into the college dining hall, where students had gathered, killing at least 5 young medical students who had dedicated their lives to helping others. Dozens more were left injured, many with life-altering wounds. The tragedy struck the very people training to save lives, deepening the city's collective grief and sense of injustice. Emergency services rushed to the scene, and local residents, driven by courage and desperation, braved the inferno to pull survivors from the wreckage. But the scale of the disaster was overwhelming. Hospitals across Ahmedabad were inundated with casualties, both from the plane and from the ground, stretching resources to their limits. The neighborhood itself was left scarred, its buildings blackened, its streets littered with debris, and its people traumatized. The psychological wounds for residents and students will last for years, as the memories of that day linger. The crash site, once a place of learning and community, became a symbol of profound loss and mourning. The total death toll reached at least 269, making it one of the deadliest tragedies in the city's history. Ahmedabad's spirit was tested as never before, but in the face of overwhelming sorrow, its unity and resilience shone through the darkness. The tragedy left a mark that will never fade, but it also revealed the strength and compassion of a community determined to heal together. In the aftermath, investigators raced to uncover the cause. India's AAIB led a global team, joined by US and UK experts, to find answers. The recovery of the black boxes, the flight data recorder, and cockpit voice recorder was a breakthrough. These devices hold the key to the flight's final moments: technical data, cockpit conversations, and alarms. Investigators focused on the unusual landing gear and flap configuration, hinting at possible hydraulic or system failures. Every piece of wreckage was catalogued, every clue examined. The Mayday call confirmed the crew's awareness of a critical emergency. The investigation is painstaking, reviewing everything from maintenance records to pilot training. Only a thorough, methodical process can reveal the truth for grieving families and the aviation world. The world waits for answers that could reshape air safety. The crash cast a shadow over the Boeing 787 Dreamliner, once hailed as a marvel of modern aviation. With over 1,000 in service and a spotless safety record, the Dreamliner's first fatal crash sent shockwaves through the industry. Past whistleblower allegations about structural issues resurfaced, intensifying scrutiny. Boeing's stock plummeted, reflecting investor fears of global groundings and reputational damage. Both Boeing and Air India pledged full cooperation and support for the investigation. Their response would be watched worldwide, as confidence in the Dreamliner hung in the balance. The crash was not just a technical crisis, but but a financial and public relations disaster for Boeing. The aviation world demanded answers and accountability. The future of the Dreamliner depended on what investigators would find. The crash triggered an immediate high-level response across India. Prime Minister Modi called the tragedy heartbreaking beyond words and promised a thorough investigation. Home Minister Amit Shah visited Ahmedabad, meeting the lone survivor and surveying the devastation. Air India and Tata Group set up assistance centers for families in Ahmedabad and London, offering support and information. International leaders sent condolences and pledged cooperation. Hospitals mobilized and citizens lined up to donate blood and help the injured. The city united in grief and resilience, determined to support those affected. In tragedy, the compassion and solidarity of a nation shone through. As grief settles, urgent questions remain. What caused the Mayday call? Was it mechanical failure, pilot error, or something more? The investigation will shape the future of the Boeing 787 and global air safety standards. The tragedy is a stark reminder of the need for vigilance in aviation. Behind every headline are lives lost, families shattered, and a community forever changed. The lessons learned must drive change, from aircraft design to emergency response. Only by seeking the truth can we honor the 269 lives lost and restore faith in the skies. The echoes of Ahmedabad will guide the relentless pursuit of safer air travel.